Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to learn about the tuple. So if you just remember, we have done much of the data structures now. So if you just remember, we have done the first fundamental data type, that is string, which is the collection of numbers or characters basically. So this was the sequence of characters which we call the string, and the next one was the list, which was created by this square bracket, and the next one was the dictionary, which was created with this curly braces. Now if you remember, the next thing was left with only the parenthesis. So set or a tuple is only those things that is created with this brackets or parentheses. So if you see what is the type of that bracket, or if you just assigned something, maybe this empty parenthesis, and if you check the type of this A, it is going to show us the type is tuple, because we have created a empty tuple over here. So this tuple is similar to that of list, but the difference between the list and the tuple is that it is very important. Just remember that we cannot change the element of the tuple once it is assigned, but in the list element can be changed. So that is the main difference between the list and the tuple. So if you just assign some element to the tuple, it cannot be changed, but in the case of list, we have already seen we can just manipulate the list whatever or whichever way we want. So first of all, let's see how we can just create the tuple, how to manipulate the tuple first. And so let me create my tuple, and in this tuple I want to assign. So I have already shown you that the tuple is created with this parenthesis, so you can just assign the element like this. So now you have created your own tuple. So this is the way to create the tuple. So tuple can be created with the mixed data type too. So if you say that I want to assign maybe the integer, maybe the string, or maybe the decimal float, which we call, or maybe the boolean, this is all valid. So if you check the tuple, if it is created or not, so you can see how tuple has been created with the mixed data types. You can also have the nested tuple. So you can see I will create now nested tuple. So first of all, let me say cat is the first element, and now I want to just have the multiple data structures over here. First one is list, and the next one is simply the another tuple. So you can do this. So if you check your tuple again, then you could see that we have created successfully the new tuple with the nested tuple in it, which is the one single tuple inside our main tuple. So let's see now how we can just assess the element from the tuple. So if you just remember, in the case of the list and the string, we used to do it with the index. So same is in the case of the tuple. So if you want maybe the element cat, then you will simply pass here 0th, and you will see that cat has been popped out as the first element of that tuple. And if you want to get maybe this 6th element of the list, then first of all you have to get this whole list, which is obviously at the index 1, and the next index would be again 1, because this inside this list, this is the 0th position, this is first position. So that means if I just hit enter, you are getting the 6, which is basically this middle element of that first index list. If you want this third element, what you can do is simply you can say my tuple, and you can simply pass first, that is a 2, and now the second index can be either the -1, because if you just remember, the last element can be always indexed with the -1, or it can be something like you can count from here, and this is at 0th, this is at 1, and this is at 2. So if you just pass here again the 2, it is also valid. So tuple also have the negative indexing. So you can see here that if you just do something like my tuple, and if you want the whole tuple of this whole tuple, then you can simply get the -1, which is the negative indexing, and you will see whole tuple will pop out over here as output. That means it will support the negative indexing too. So let me just clear this real quick, and let me show you some more about the tuple. So let's create that same tuple again, And now what we need to learn is about the slicing, and we have learned about the slicing in previous couple of lectures in the case of a list and in the case of a string too. But for now, let's see how we can just assess or slice the part of the tuple. If I want maybe from this cat, okay, let's make another tuple which will be more meaningful. So you know how to create the tuple. I'll say A, B, C. Okay, the next one would be D, E, and F. Last one would be J. So let's make this tuple. So let's see how slicing works in the tuple. It is similar to that of list, as I have already shown you in the previous lectures. So first of all, let me say I want to slice this part from B to maybe from B to E. So let's count for the index first. So A is at 0. So we want from B, that means we have to just include from 1. And just remember, this is the inclusion position. If you do something like 2, that means from C it will include. And if I just do 1, it will include from position this, which is I want from B to maybe D. Okay, from, let me just do something like from B to D. So that means this is the inclusion position. I want the D also. That means we have to put here the position of E, or the index of the E. So that means index of E is 8, 2, 3, 4. If I put 4 over here, that means I'm going to get, okay, going to get B, C, D. But if I do something like my tuple, and if I just want the BCD, if I want BCD, but I just made 1, 2, 3, if I just put the position of only D, then you are going to get BC only. So this is the exclusion position. So just remember that it is same for the list, and it is also similar for the case of a string, and similar for the case of this tuple. If you want everything from beginning to end, you can do simply do this, and you will get whole of tuple. If you don't pass anything over here, it is going to loop from beginning to the end with a step of 1. So this is the way to slice your tuple, which is the interesting part of the any data structures. So next thing what I want you to show is, let me make some program over here. So let's go in our script and let's make some program over here. So let's see if I just make dictionary. This is our dictionary, and I'll say name is Python, and work is for, let me say, programmer. So if this is our dictionary, and if I say for I in, or basically for key value in this, and if I just want to print this maybe by formatting is, or this way, if I want to format maybe with key and value, let's see how this work, and we are printing over here. So let's see how this works. Let's save this first, and let's print this pressing F5. It is going to show us error, too many values to unpack. So if you just remember, we have learned dictionary in the previous lectures, but I haven't told you one thing, that is this dictionary is not iterable, so you cannot loop. So this for loop is not going to work in the case of dictionary. But if you convert this dictionary into the tuple with this items method, let's see this items method, and let's save this and press F5, then this is going to work. So what is happening over here is, let me show you. So at first we are creating the dictionary, which is obviously you can see in here, which is this dictionary with the key and value pair. And now we want to loop, this is dictionary, and we are looping with this for loop with the key and value. That means this name will be key, this Python will be value for the first loop. In the second loop, this key will be work, value will be programmer. That was our intention. But this is the dictionary, and dictionary cannot be iterables. So just remember that we cannot loop in the dictionary. But if you convert this dictionary into the tuple, or into the list, then it is iterable. So normally in the case of real world programming, we normally convert this dictionary into the tuple so as to loop in the tuple. So if you want to loop in this dictionary, you will simply call this items method in the dictionary, which is going to just convert this dictionary into the tuple, and in the tuple you can just loop. And if you see the result over here, we can see that we have now the result. So if I show you over here, let's copy this dictionary, go back, paste it over here, and if I say dot items, then you will see the dictionary has been converted into the tuple now, which is having this tuple. So you can see clearly over here, it is although the dictionary object, but it has converted into this tuple. So this is first tuple, this is second tuple. So now we can just loop in this tuple from this for loop, and we're just formatting with key and value over here. So this is the way to convert the dictionary from the dictionary to the tuples so as to work with the for loop or to make it iterables. So this way the part of the tuples or data structures is ended over here. We'll learn about the object oriented programming in the next lecture. See you in the next one.